Henyard vows the show will go on.
You told us on election day we haven't heard the last few. What's next for you?
There's a lot next for me.
We are now watching the final act of a scandal-ridden legacy, one that this town will be dissecting for decades. As we have covered repeatedly, the once invincible rule of Supermayor Tiffany Henyard is finally crumbling. She has been officially ousted from her role in the village of Dalton. Thornton Township has completely severed ties, and very soon her political career will be over for good. But just when it felt like the storm was calming, another bombshell detonates. You might remember when we first reported Henyard was making somewhere between $250,000 and $300,000 annually by juggling 2 public roles at once. Turns out, that figure, not even close. A newly released audit shows her actual income shot far past the $300,000 mark. And the most jaw-dropping revelation, she had a scheme that paid her an extra $600 each day she left town, or even crossed state lines. Yes, you heard that correctly. Every time she traveled first class, of course she raked in hundreds of extra taxpayer dollars just for being away. Basically, your hard-earned money was footing the bill for her luxury lifestyle. It is outrageous, but maybe the wildest part, even after all the lawsuits, audits, and intense public backlash, there are still die-hard Henyard loyalists clinging to her side. And some of them, they are making excuses so ridiculous, you will be left absolutely stunned. The level of denial is in a league of its own.
She's doing what men have been doing for years as far as her security and all those things. She needs that. She give back to the community, so, what more can people ask for?
Let me say this loud and clear. The people of Dalton deserve serious recognition. Sure, they slipped up by electing Tiffany Henyard in the first place. But what sets them apart? They spotted the warning signs early and jumped into action fast. They united, mobilized, and launched a recall campaign the moment her true behavior came to light. The sad truth? That recall effort was blocked and court dismissed by a judge who essentially silenced the will of the voters. But did the citizens of Dalton give up? Not a chance. They stayed vocal, and in the end, they did what had to be done. When Election Day came, they crushed Tiffany Henyard at the polls. Trustee Jason House took over as mayor in a jumpy landslide, something like 88-2. That was not just a win, it was a deafening message, a full-on rejection of everything the so-called supermayor had come to represent. Now look, let us not pretend like the whole town woke up. Some folks are still out here acting clueless absolute jokers. And if you are one of those still, claiming this is all because Tiffany is a woman doing what men have always done, I hate to break it to you, you missed the entire point. This is not about gender. It is about deception, corruption, and scamming the very people she swore to serve. But all right, enough laying the groundwork. Before we dive into the final send-off, the farewell celebration fit for a disgraced queen, let us break down how her entire empire unraveled.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
Self-proclaimed Supermayor Tiffany Henyard leaves office in the next few weeks after being badly beaten at the ballot box. Questionable spending, clashes with trustees, and an ongoing FBI investigation led to her undoing.
Local media just dropped the full story behind the dramatic collapse of the so-called Supermayor unpacking, exactly why her time in power is officially done. And let us be real, if I tried to explain everything in this one video, we would be stuck here for hours end. Nobody has time for that. That is exactly why, as always, I have linked my full Supermayor playlist, top to bottom right, here on the card and down in the description. You can binge nearly 30 videos where I covered every piece of her chaotic tenure in Dalton and Thornton Township. But today is all about the freshest headlines, the newest jaw-dropping updates. And do not fall for her usual spinware. She dismisses it all as just rumors or screams fake news. This is not speculation, this is verified fact. Turns out, her salary was even more bloated than we thought, because she squeezed every single benefit for maximum gain.
The curtain will soon close on the Tiffany Henyard show, but not before one last dance.
Supervisor, come on now. People want to know what's next for you.
Why you out here? Why are you out here?
We were there for Henyard's final food giveaway and a new tally of what she's cost taxpayers. On Easter weekend, cars lined up for blocks, tens of thousands of tax dollars spent for another one of Henyard's famous food giveaways.
Now, this part you absolutely have to hear. Every single food box handed out during those so-called giveaways had Tiffany Henyard's name, printed bold across the top. Classic PR stunt from the supermayor. These community events, purely staged photo ops. Her strategy was transparent to use these handouts to shape public perception, and fake like she truly cared. You have heard her favorite lines a dozen times. Everything we do is for the people. And she never misses a chance to remind everyone it is the mayor doing the work, not those lazy trustees. She constantly boasts about her crew working late into the night until 11 or 12 while everyone else relaxes. Then she flips it, accusing trustees of never passing anything that helps the public. According to her, every single ordinance they approve is self-serving or aimed at their lawyers, not the residents. But let us be honest, that whole For the People Act, straight out of the authoritarian playbook, bleed public funds dry, exploit every perk, live large on government dollars, then toss back crumbs and expect cheers. She lines people up for so-called free food, but it was never truly free. That food was bought using the very tax money she drained, and she spun it like she was giving back. Her face is on every billboard in town, trying to look like a local savior. But the illusion collapsed. That is why she is outgone from both positions. And even while exiting, she is still bleeding public funds, handing out leftovers as if it is a gift. The wildest part, some of the same people who once could not stand her are now lining up for the free food. Because, hey, free is free, and honestly, that cracks me up. I have never backed her and never will, but if she is handing out dinner, I am not turning it down. People out here are like, yeah, she is shady, but I am still getting my plate. They know she has taken way more than she will ever repay in groceries. Even some local media try to defend her spending, calling it impactful. But let us be real, most of those initiatives were just PR stunts to get her name on everything and soak up attention. Then the budget numbers came to light, and they were staggering. Henyard pocketed more than $347,000. Last year, from her dual roles in Dalton and Thornton Township, that is more than the mayor of Chicago earns. To break it down, she pulled in $282,000 from the township alone, stacked on a $4,900 monthly expense allowance, and tacked on a $1,100 monthly car stipend. Meanwhile, residents of Dalton footed a six-figure bill for two SUVs vehicles originally intended for law enforcement, but repurposed for Henyard's personal use. Just her salary, around $225,000 from Thornton, and another $50,000 from Dalton, already exceeding the salary of the governor of Illinois. But here is the jaw-dropper she added: another $75,000 worth of extra benefits on top. And here is the kicker: she billed both municipalities for overlapping expenses while continuing to take home that $4,900 monthly allowance and that car stipend. It was supposed to be from Thornton, but she made Dalton cover the lease under outrageous conditions. I checked the paperwork myself, for almost $150,000 to lease a Chevy Tahoe. That is like signing up for a 27% interest rate, like she was a teenager with no credit history. The exact figures are dated December 27, 2022. A 2023 Chevy Tahoe had a list price of $93,216.71. But once you add in interest and hidden fees, the total lease exploded to $149,146.20. That is over $50,000 in pure interests, simply because she could not be bothered to negotiate a better deal. Instead of using her car stipend as intended, she pocketed it and dumped the full cost onto Dalton's taxpayers. Outrageous does not even begin to describe it. And let us be real, every accusation folks have made about her, spot on. Sure, she throws elaborate parties and glitzy giveaway events, but underneath all that glamour, she was quietly bleeding the community dry. Not just with that inflated salary, but also with nearly $6,000 a month in extra perks that funneled directly into her own pockets. Since she lost her re-election bid, Tiffany Henyard has not shown up to a single board meeting. Ask her about it, and she dodges the questions, still salty over the loss. Imagine a president losing in November and then refusing to do the job until January. That is exactly the vibe she is giving. Completely checked out, yet still cashing. taxpayer-funded checks, instead of governing, she is busy hosting parties, dancing on social media, and flashing that smile for every camera on the taxpayer's dime. Stephanie Weedman, who has served the township for over 20 years, stepped forward and exposed a long list of Henyard's shady actions. Had Henyard just taken accountability, said, "Yes, I messed up," people might have forgiven her. But no, she escalated things into a full-blown soap opera nearly every week. Then came her go-to defense strategy. "Why are y'all attacking a strong black woman? You should be ashamed, really." That was the entire argument. Local news even aired clips of people yelling, "You are black, and you are attacking a black woman," as if that erases misconduct. And the wild part? That clip, they ripped it straight from my content. No credit, no mention. Just lazy cut-and-paste journalism. But let us keep it 100. None of this should come as a shock. The warning signs were always there. Henyard was never in it for Dalton or Thornton. Her real goal was always to build her own spotlight. So it is no surprise that someone earning more than the mayor of Chicago and the governor of Illinois combined would just ... vanish from the job. And no, she did not go out quietly. Her final appearance at a Thornton board meeting ended in total chaos. We are talking about a real fight. She was throwing punches, actual fists flying. That is how far things spiraled out of control. Honestly, the warning lights have been flashing for a long time. WGN Investigates ran a full expose and revealed that Henyard and her inner circle spent more than $100,000 on lavish travel-all billed to taxpayers. 5-star resorts, gourmet dinners. It was a jet-set lifestyle on the public's dime. Not just excessive dash, shameless . Her excuse, "I do not handle the credit cards." Yes, she really said that during a public meeting, no less. And when pressed for answers, more dodging. Some of those expenses were for you. You expect average citizens to believe they were sipping champagne and eating filet mignon in Vegas. Come on, no comment. Did you even go to Vegas? Of course I did. Who paid for it? Not them. It was a circus of contradictions. Even WGN looks like they are desperate for relevance, basically pleading for the supermayor to make a return. But when a major news outlet starts recycling clips from my videos, that is when you know the media landscape is broken. I am just trying to deliver the truth. Now they are stealing my receipts. That is a new level of shameless. But the moment, that really says it all. Henyard grinning for the cameras while being grilled over excessive spending, treating it like a game. That is exactly why her downfall was so massive. And guess who is left to clean up the mess? That is right, the very people she was supposed to serve. And if you thought this circus was over, brace yourself. Henyard and her team were cashing in outrageous travel bonuses, $600 daily for out-of-state trips, $400 for in-state completely covered. That alone inflated her earnings well beyond $347,000. They were literally being paid extra to leave town. One of her boldest scams, charging personal expenses to township credit cards while pocketing travel reimbursements without ever taking the trips. She was basically treating taxpayer money like an all-you-can-eat buffet. That is not just shady, it is glitter-covered fraud. And when her replacement was asked about all these ridiculous payouts, he brushed it off like a champ. "Your pay should reflect your value," he said, comparing himself to surgeons and professional athletes. Translation, do not question us, just accept the cash flow. To be fair, I have given props to Dalton's Board of Trustees on this channel, and they earned it. They stood up to the supermayor and committed to real reform. But do not confuse that with support for Thornton Township's new supervisor. He rode in on the backlash Henyard left behind. And if you think he is better, think again. He is already showing signs of being just like her, only quieter, smoother, and way harder to catch. So if you live in Thornton Township, hold off on the celebration. This is not like Dalton, where residents are finally cleaning up the mess. In Thornton, it is still the same old crooked game, just with a new smile and a better sales pitch. After everything, the lies, the chaos, the corruption, this is not the time to check out. People need to stay alert, keep attending meetings, keep demanding answers, and remind these officials that the public is watching. Because the moment they feel invisible, that is when they rob you blind. Insert applause, sound effect, and somehow Despite all the scandals, the overspending, the bogus charities, the federal probes, and even the boardroom brawls, Tiffany Henyard still has fans. I know, it sounds insane. Some folks are still cheering her on like she is a hero. You are about to see a clip of a woman saying, "She is just doing what men do." But let us be honest, find me one man who caused this much chaos in just 4 years and still had a job. Just one. I will wait. It blows my mind that anyone still defends the supermayor. But I get it, some figures become larger than life. And while terms end, legacies, especially the notorious ones, have a way of lingering. Whether you admire her or despise her, Tiffany Henyard, will remain part of township lore for years to come. But those are just my thoughts. Now I want to hear yours. What do you make of all this chaos? Sound off in the comments, do not hold back. And if this video made you think, hit that like button, subscribe for more breakdowns, follow me on socials, and check out the links in the description to support the channel. This is me, pulling back the curtain, revealing how the supermayor, we've siphoned off more than we ever imagined, all while flashing that same smug, carefree grin.